Okay, so today we're going to continue with slope and intercept using our linear equation or linear, I just lost the word, linear function, there it is. So today you're going to be able to create an equation in slope-intercept form from a graph and be able to graph an equation in slope-intercept form. So today should be pretty quick. We learned the basics yesterday. We'll do a brief review and I'll show you some tricks to help you out on the test. All right, so let's not forget from yesterday our slope-intercept form. Remember, our slope is going to be our m, and our y-intercept is going to be our b. So from right here, from this linear function, we can figure out our slope and our y-intercept. And to review, remember our y-intercept is going to be where our line, so here's our line, and our y-intercept is going to be where our line crosses the y-axis. And in this case, y equals 1/2 x plus 1. You can see that it crosses right here at y equals 1, which if this were a point, well, it is a point, but this point is 0, 1. And we want to remember coordinate pairs are defined as x comma y. So where our x is 0, whatever our y value is going to be our y-intercept. And then in reference to our slope, we want to pick 2 points on the line that it makes it easier if you pick integral points, and those will be points where two integers intersect, like right here where 2 or positive 2 on the y and positive 2 on the y intersect. And then over here where positive 3 on the y, sorry I misspoke, positive 2 on the y, positive 2 on the x intercept. And then up here where positive 3 on the y and positive 4 on the x intercept. And we're going to use rise over run. Remember, rise is going to be up and down. I'm going to continue this down here, which would be our y over x, which would be our change in y over change in x. And we can see here that we are going up 1. So our change in y is 1. And we're going to the right 1 and then 2. So our change in x is 2. And that's why our slope is 1/2. You can see that here. And then we're also able to point out that our y-intercept is positive 1, which you can see here. And do not forget about that sign. All right, so we talked about this yesterday. I just brought it up now. So again, we have our slope-intercept form. Remember, we know that this is our m is slope, our b is our y-intercept. And if we're talking about what type of slope, right? So this here, we're talking about type of slope. And we want to think about slope dude, right? So we know that's really poorly drawn, but we know that slope dude is just like a mountain. Remember, when we're talking about slope, we're always reading from left to right, just like a map, just like any book, we read left to right. So slope dude's going to start at the bottom of this mountain here. And if he is going up, that slope is going to be positive. If he is going down, that slope is negative. If he is staying horizontal, that slope is 0. And if he is going vertical, then that slope is undefined, which you'll see me abbreviate later. All right, so we only have a couple examples to go through today. Trust me, we'll make up for it tomorrow. I guess there's 6 still. All right, so we want to look at the following graph. What is the equation in slope-intercept form? So just as a reminder, remember our slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. And just to keep with my color scheme that I've had, we'll have y equals mx plus b. And this is where your m equals your slope, and where your b equals your y-intercept. So I think it makes a lot of sense to look for your y-intercept first. So I'm going to come to my highlighter again. And we're looking to see where this line crosses the y-axis. And these two lines intersect right here at -2. Y equals -2. And it's y equals -2 because x equals 0. And let's not forget our coordinate pair is x comma y. So where x is 0, whatever value y is in our coordinate pair, that's going to be your y-intercept. So that's just going to be -2. All right, from here, I want to pick a point where one of my numbers on my y-axis and one of my numbers on my x-axis cross, right? This is an integral point. It's where two integers cross. So I can see that it looks like my line goes right through this point right here. See how like right here, it's in between 1 and 2? Well, that's not going to do us any good. Okay? You can see like even like you could pick like right here. You know, yeah, it crosses on the x, but on the y, it's in between 3 and 4. So that's not going to do us any good. So we want to start at 0, -2. Remember, we want to do rise over run, which is going to be our y first over x, which is actually our change in y over change in x. So if we're going up from y, we go 1, 2, and we're going up, so that's positive. And then we do our run. Remember, just like running across the street, we're running horizontally. So we're going to go 1 over. And then we want to simplify. And when we simplify 2 over 1, we know that anything divided by 1 is just going to be itself. So that's going to leave us with 2. And then all we have to do is plug in our what we figured out. Plug in our y-intercept, plug in our slope. So we have y equals, we know that our slope was 2x, and we know that our intercept is -2. And remember, just because this is a plus, a green plus here, that's just the base formula. So we're going to replace that plus with a negative, and it's going to be -2. Right, so we'll have y equals 2x plus -2. You could check this if you wanted to. Let's just say I wanted to do what is x when x equals 2. Right, so I can plug a 2 in for x. So I have y equals, I'm using the equation we just created. So 2 times, remember I'm plugging in a 2 for x, -2. You'll get y equals 4 minus 2, and that will give you y equals 4 minus 2 is just 2. So the point that we would have gotten would have been x and y, right? So we plugged in a 2 for x right here, and we got out a 2 for y. And when we plot this point, we start at the origin. We go 1, 2, 1, 2, and you can see that that point is in fact on the line. So you can check your work here. All right, same thing. We know that we have y equals mx plus b, and that is where m equals slope, and b equals y intercept. And I'll skip some of the review on these, because like I said, you guys can rewind and check it out later. So we're going to see where this line crosses our y-axis. And it's pretty obvious that they intersect right here at x equals 0, y equals 3. So our y-intercept is just going to be 3. So I'm going to go ahead and start just filling this out. So I have y equals, x is going to stay there. My y-intercept is positive, so I will still have a +3, as opposed to the previous one where it was negative. And now I need to find my slope. Well, if I'm starting at this point, right? 0, 3. I want to look for the next point where this line crosses an integral point, where two integers intersect. And that looks like it's going to be right here at the point, what is that, 2, 6. All right, so we're going to come up 1, 2, 3. So we went up, so that's going to be positive. Remember, it's rise over run, so 3 over. And then we're going to go to the right, 1 and 2. And you can't simplify any more than that. So your slope will just be 3, 2. And this will be your slope-intercept form for the linear function or equation. All right, now we want to take a linear function and graph it, right? And again, this is in our slope-intercept form. So let's try this. Let's match it up. Y equals mx plus b, which in this case is -3. All right, so we know that our slope is going to equal a positive 1/2. We know that our y-intercept, we know that our b, plus b. b equals our y-intercept. And we know that that is going to be a -3. Right? They match up. All right, so from here, the first thing I would do is graph our y-intercept. So we know we're going to start at the origin, which is 0, 0, and it's our y-intercept. So it's where the graph is, where the line is going to cross the y-intercept or y-axis. So we're just going to go down because it's negative. 1, 2, 3. Right, and this point would be 0, 3. Well, now we want to start. Let me get rid of this. So we know that this point is definitely on our line. So now I want to start at this point, and I want to figure out my slope. Remember, your slope is going to be rise over run, which is your change in y over change in x. We know that this is 1/2. So we're going to go up 1. That's our rise. And then our run, which is horizontal, will be positive 1 and 2. And this will be my next point. And that's all you need to graph this line. And you should be able to draw a straight line through both of those points. All right, so let's see that again. So I'm going to put my, I'm going to put my slope-intercept form that we know. I'm going to put the outline for it above it, and we're going to start matching these up. So I'm matching my slope, which is my m, and I'm matching my intercept. And remember to grab that sign because it's not always going to be positive. So really, I don't even need this equation anymore. I can just go right with my slope, which is m, which in our case is -3, and my y-intercept, which is b, which in our case is a positive 5. Remember, I always say, so with these two things right here, I can go ahead and solve, or I can go ahead and graph this. So I'm going to start with my y-intercept, and then I'm going to go to my slope. So y-intercept is b equals 5. That's where I'm going to start at my origin, and that's where x equals 0, but y equals 5. So I need to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I need to go up because I know it's positive, and I'm stopping at x equals 0, y equals 5. That's my point. That's my y-intercept. All right, from here, I want to start at this point, and I want to go over my slope, which is rise over run, which is the change in y over the change in x, which here all we have is, it looks like all we have is a -3. Well, when we just have any kind of whole number, we can always assume that there's a 1, right? We can always assume that it's being divided by a 1, okay? And that's because of the division, the identity of division, right? Or division identity rule. So we'll use our rise first, we will go down. Remember, it's negative, so we're going down 1, 2, 3. Oops. Go down 1, 2, and 3. We're going to chill here. And then we're going to go to the right 1 because the -3 keeps the negative, but the 1 we're going to keep positive, so that way the entire fraction stays negative. And this will be our next point. Now, if you wanted to, you could graph another point. Same thing, 1, 2, 3 down because it's negative, 1 to the right. And then from here, all you have to do is draw your line in, and it should hit. That is a terribly drawn line. Let me start from up here. And it should hit all 3 points. And that's how you can tell you're correct, is if your line goes through all of your points. So sometimes doing that third line makes it a little bit easier. All right, to kind of wrap this up again, just real quick, we know that our slope, right, is going to be m, which is going to be -2/3. And here we have our b, which is our y-intercept, which is going to be +2. So let's not even look at the equation anymore. Let's just look at the 2 facts we know. Well, let's start with our y-intercept. So where b equals -2, where our y-intercept is -2. So I'm going to plot that, or I'm sorry, it's +2, my bad. So I'm going to plot that where y equals +2. And you can see right away that a and b are out. All right, now we're going to go to our next step. I'm not even going to do the slope here. I'm just going to look at this symbol. And we know that the slope is negative. And we know that if the slope is negative, it is going downhill. And since we read left to right, this one's going uphill. It's not going to be B. Reading left to right, this one goes downhill. It's going to be D. So right away, you were able to get rid of 2 answers. And then without even having to use the slope, you could just look at look whether it was positive or negative and simplify or solve from there or get the correct answer. All right, one more. So we know that we have our slope, we have our y-intercept, and remember our slope's always attached to that x, and that's going to be -4/5. We know that our y-intercept is -4. Let's not forget about this symbol and this symbol right here. All right, so let's go ahead and plot where y equals -4. Right, and right away, you can cross out C and D. Well, let's look where our slope is negative slope. Remember, that's where your slope is going to be going downhill. Well, if we're reading left to right, this slope is going downhill. If we're reading left to right, this slope is going uphill. We want it to go downhill, so A is going to be our correct answer. All right, again, you guys have a test coming up at the end of the quarter soon. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up during rate of prep or office hours on Monday. Good luck, and I'll see you tomorrow.